Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's get started with the today's session. So, Python break and continue statements. In Python, break and continue statements can alter the flow of a normal loop. We can alter any loop statement. We can change its flow from one statement to the another using break and continue. Loops iterate over a block of code until test condition is false. Loops iterate. It means loops continue over a block condition until this expression is false. But sometimes we wish to terminate the current iteration. So for these we use break statement or continue statement, or even the whole loop we want to terminate sometimes without checking the test expression. Now let's talk about the break and continue statement. Break statement. The break statement terminates the loop containing it. It terminates the loop in which it is written. Control of the program flows to the statement immediately after the body of the loop. Control of the whole program flows to the statement immediately after the body of the loop. If it is inside a nested loop, then break will terminate. It will cancel out the innermost loop. It will break that. Continue statement. The continue statement is used to skip the rest of the code inside a loop for the current iteration only. It doesn't terminate but continues on with the next iteration. It will again check the statement back and will continue on with the next iteration. It will not terminate the loop. Here you can see break statement. Here enters the loop, then it checks loop condition, either it is false or true. If it is false, it will directly exit the loop. But if the condition is true and then onwards break is written, then on checking the condition of the break, if it's yes, then it will directly exit the loop. But if break condition will be false, then it will execute the remaining body of the loop. If the test condition is false, either of the break statement, it will continue with the remaining of the loop. Next is continue statement. Loop test expression. It will continue to the next iteration, and if the iteration is true, then it will continue and again go back to the loop expression. But if the condition becomes false, then it will execute the remaining part of the loop. It will skip that part of the false one and will continue with the next expression. Then we have some control structures also in Python. To alter the normal flow of execution of a program based on certain conditions, or to perform the some operation or same operation number of times until the condition we want is met. For this purpose, Python provides various control structures. If we want a certain operation to be repeated a number of times, we use control structures, and there are basically three control statements we use: selective control statements, iterative control statements, and transfer control statements. Selection control statements. These are used to incorporate decision making into the programs. Their main purpose is of decision making into the programs. Various selection control statements available in Python are if else, elif, and nested if. These are the various selection control statements. Here, indentation in Python refers to spaces put before a statement. Indentation refers to the spaces we put before a statement, and if there is a wrong indentation in any statement, then it will give an error and will not run. Here is if conditions execution diagram. If the condition is false, then it will execute the next line of the code. But if the condition is true, then it will execute the statement and then will proceed to the next line of the code. But if it's false, it will directly shift to the next line of the code. Then comes if else statement. Here it will first check the test expression. If the test expression is false, it will skip to the statement just below if. But if the text expression is true, it will run the body of if statement and then will continue with the statement written just below if. Then here are some loops in Python. In Python there are two types of loops, namely definite loop and indefinite loop. Definite loop, also known as count controlled loop. This loop is also known as count controlled loop. It is the loop in which number of iterations is known in advance. In this, the number of iterations is known in advance prior to the executing of the first statement in the body of the loop, and this is used particularly for loop. Then comes indefinite loop. It is known as condition controlled loop. It is the loop in which number of iterations is not known in advance. In definite loop, number of iterations is known in advance prior to the execution, but in indefinite loop, it is not known. It is implemented using while loop. As definite loop is implemented using for loop, indefinite loop is implemented using while loop. Then, here comes while loop. Firstly, it will check the test condition. If it's false, then the loop will terminate. But if the condition becomes true, then the body of while loop will execute. Then comes for loop. Firstly, it will again check the test condition, and if the condition becomes false, it will terminate the loop. But if the condition is true, then body of for loop will execute, same as while loop. So this is all about loops. From next onwards, we will continue with the programs. So stay tuned.